Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. Today's game we'll be doing Avertigos South China Sky. Avertigos is for 2 to 5 players, approximately half an hour to play for our skirmish mode edition. Now this game is a ship skirmish kind of style game where you're flying around on these ships here and you're trying to fight each other, and you can do swooping actions, all that kind of stuff. But the idea is it's kind of like a ship building game as well as a full-on board game that is involved in this game. The Kickstarter campaign has a bunch of different game modes as well as a bunch of different things you can purchase. So what we're going to be doing in this video is just specifically talking about ship building, ship skirmishes, fighting, actions, and all that kind of stuff involving what I have here to work with. So when my review comes to pass, it's going to be based on just solely the skirmish mode of the game and the different types of ships and stuff that I have to work with here on hand. Now that being said, hopefully you've seen a video of all the different things, all the different ships that can be made, as well as a little bit about the actual gameplay of the game going through here. But now we're going to start going into just the skirmish mode and showing the components that I have received to show you how to play this specific game. So here are the components for Avertigos South China Sky. Now I'm going to go through everything into detail as best as I can. Over here you have die, which are for battling or combat. They have different sides on them. I think there's 2 4s, a 3, 2 2s, and a 1 on all of these die. You have 2 different types of tokens, whether they be action or damage tokens here. These are your movement cards, which are all blue on one side, and the other sides are going to have purple, yellow, and yellow, and red. And they all do different things as well. You're also going to have bases as well as increased, basically the different, what do you want to call them, height for the different ships that you can have. Over here are all the different ships you can choose from. In a skirmish mode right now, all we have to work with are these patrol ships, and in the base game, actually there's going to be a lot of different ships you can go ahead and take a look at. Over here are all of the different module cards you can go ahead and choose from. All of these different modules are going to have different abilities as well as different ranges and whatnot. The modules are all represented here. The ships are represented here, and the different colors represent each of the 2 different types, 2 players, or you can go 4 players in this game. These are the different sails for the ship that you can simply stick into the ship after you've gone ahead and built them, just like that. You get a little sail. And over here represents the game board, which we'll be setting up. And finally, this piece here represents whether you're going to hit or not, similar to a game like Warhammer, where you're going to point, try and touch the base of a ship. And if you can do that, you're going to be able to hit it. So let me go ahead and show you how to set up the game board. So we'll move all of these things aside. And so if I wanted to, this could be the game board here. Move all this stuff. And you can kind of set up however you want to, right? The game board is pretty much dynamic to your preference, and you just want to kind of make it into a square or a rectangle of some sort. So this would be one of the game boards, a really small one, obviously, since I have a smaller table. And after you have the game board set up in any way you want, everybody's going to start doing a draft of sorts for the ships here. So each guys are going to get 2 ships, just like this. And take one of these guys each. They're just basically the patrols, so it doesn't really matter. Here we go. We'll just take the same colors. All right. And then you're going to get all these modules to choose from, right? And it's basically going to be either a rock, paper, scissors style thing, where you're going to, whoever rock, paper, scissors, and whoever wins is going to get to choose first, or roll a die, however you guys want to decide to do that. And people are going to take 1 and 1, 1 and 1, until you have a full ship ready to go. You only need 2 modules for the patrol ships here, and it'll even tell you on the side here what modules you need, and you can simply attach them just like this. And as you can see, maybe this ship right here, you'll attach it to a base. It's a pretty simple thing to do. Just put it on, make sure it's as straight as humanly possible, just like that. And then you're going to go ahead and pick the modules out. So for this one, it has this piece right here, and this is a little ramming thing here, and you can put it just like this. And then you just go ahead and attach them just like this onto the ship, and finally give it a nice little sail. And you're going to do that for all of the ships. Ooh, oh no. You're going to be able to do that for all of the ships, right? So once you have all 4 ships set up, then you're going to go ahead and select any side to put the ship on. So one side over here, and maybe the other guy will set his ship over on this side here. And you're going to be then ready to start the game by setting up all the boards and playing it. And we'll go ahead and talk about that first before we get into it. Okay, so now you have an idea of how the game is set up. As for a couple little things which I'll show you before we start the turns off. In a turn, it's fairly simple. You're going to do the movement phase first and then the action phase. During the movement phase, you're going to have a certain amount of movement cards to begin your turn, and when you play them, you will replenish those. You're going to go back and forth collecting actions as well as bonus cards until eventually you can't do anything anymore and you're going to pass, and in which case, when both players pass, you move on to the action phase. Action phase is going to involve using this little widget here to target other opponents' ships. So you can then fire on them, and you're going to have different weapons to do so. And as you lose weapons, you're going to have to actually remove them from your ship, as well as if you take cold damage equal to 8, then you actually will lose that entire ship. Now what we're going to do is an example of a 1v1, one player versus one player match with one ship for each player, just so you get a basic idea of how the skirmish mode works. And then after that, I'll tell you what I think about it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So here we have a setup for a 2-player skirmish with one ship each. Now, depending on the different game modes, you can have multiple ships as well as the full game, but this is what we're going to show you just for the movements of the ships and the fighting. So the first thing that's going to take place is you're setting up all the boards. You're going to put your height and your speed at whatever you would like to begin. If you have your height set at 3, you're going to push this guy to 3. If he's at 2, you just leave it 2 there, as well as maybe you want your speed at 2. Now, the starting speed is how many cards you can play, and you can also increase the amount of cards and then move it up by that's one space. So if you play 3 cards, you can move up to 3. But you can't play more than that, as well as you can also play less than that to move it down to 1. When you do so, you can do certain things that will allow you to either swoop in on an opponent, which will actually move your speed up and your height down, or as well as you can do some other stuff too, which is really cool. They can make you go over speed, but that'll make you take damage. You have your health set at 8. And then depending on the modules, they're going to be different health sets. So this one doesn't fire, but it gives you bonus health. And this one over here is going to fire and has a range here of 1 up or 1 down. So if you're at 2, you can fire at either the 1 position or the 3 position, as well as directly in front of you. And then you also your health. And over here is these little spaces here represent the damage you can do with die. Okay, and that is the idea for that, as well as over here action points that you can spend during the action phase, and you can acquire new ones over here as well. Do the same thing for this guy over here, and everybody's going to get 3 cards, and they're all going to have the blue icons on the front as well as different colors on the back. The blue ones will typically give you HP. The purple ones will let you do AP, which is the ability point, and then the yellow ones will either make you lose HP, but the reason they do that is because you can actually use them for an additional movement space. So we'll go ahead and start the game off to show you how it works. All right. So this guy here, this one is actually at a height of 1 and a speed of 2. So that means he will simply be able to place one of these blue cards, and he can place it on any end of this. So the front, left, or right hand facing. He's going to go forward, so he's placing it like that. Now when you want to place another one, you have to place it so that it aligns with these circles here. So this could be a valid space here, as well as if you wanted to turn, you could also do it like that. This little red point can't pass this line here on either end. So this would be, any of these kind of appropriate would work. So maybe he's just going to go forward as well. And if I wanted to increase my speed, I would simply play 1 more card. Now I could play this yellow one. If I wanted to, I could play this yellow one just like this. And that would make me lose 2 health. And it tells you which cards it can connect to. Just like on this side, if you wanted to, this says I can connect to a blue card. Perfect. And you could actually get +1 AP and draw a bonus card. Now some cards are not going to let you do that. They make you play it on the base, and other cards will only let you go in a straight line if you were going to go ahead and play that card. We'll just simply go with the blue one for now, though, make him go straight. And finally play a 3rd movement card just like this. And after you do that, he will then move. Just like that. These cards will go away, and he will draw cards equivalent to the cards he spent, as well as moving up on his movement tracker +1 because he did that extra 3rd card. This player would then also go ahead and do something. He looks at his hand of cards here. Maybe he will play this one right here. And I believe you can play this card right here next to it, just like that. And that means it has to go straight. It has to connect to a blue card. It does that, so he's going to gain 3 health, but he doesn't need to because he's at full health. And if he wants, he can gain +1 AP, so he'll do that when he plays this card, and he can put it anywhere he wants in his ship. But maybe he wants to try and angle himself so he can hit his opponent. So he'll do something like that, just like that. Make sure it's even. All right, and then he's going to move his ship just like that. Once everybody's taken their actions, so he's moved his 2, doesn't need to do anything else, they're going to go ahead and go into the attack phase, basically, is how it works. And during the attack phase, you're going to be spending points to do damage, basically. So, for instance, you're going to also check, what's interesting as well is checking initiative as to who moves first and who doesn't move first. So, depending on your height is your initiative of either 3, 2, and 1 is 6, 5, and 4. So, if your height's at 3, your initiative is at 6. And if your height's at 1, your initiative is at 4. That will depend on if you're able to shoot first or able to move first. So, there are certain rules for that specifically. This guy here would be the highest, so he would technically, I think, have shot first, as opposed to moving because he's at a higher initiative. It's one way or the other. But the next thing that's going to occur is you're going to do the fighting. And I think, let me think about which ship is going to go first here. Okay, so these two ships, right, they moved correctly. This is the lowest initiative, so we got to move. And then the highest initiative is this ship here, so it gets to attack first. And he's going to first spend his action points, which are over here. He can spend them to put into these spots here. Now, there's a red slot here for an aimed attack, and then there's 2 down here. He spends 3 actions if he wants. And he's going to load these up with die, just like this. All right, and then he is able to try and fire. So he's going to take this to this is the gunner position, so it's the side of his ship, and he has to aim it. And as long as it touches the base, from the base, it's good. If he were to fire with this one, if he could, he'd have to fire it going straight on like this, and he'd have to angle it. So this wouldn't work, but since he's firing from the side, it's going to work. So then he's going to be able to select which one this is going to hit. So let's say he wants to hit the opponent on the side or on the rear. He's then going to roll this die and assign that much damage, a 3, straight to that. The rest of these guys just get thrown at the ship randomly, so 4, 5, 6, and the opponent can choose where. So on the opponent's ship over here, if we take a look, I'll move this around, you will see that it's got 3 damage that goes straight to the back end of the hull, just like that. And then you're going to have 6 damage that can go any allocation that this so chooses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe 6, like that. If any of these ships were to be damaged and removed, he would lose that ability to use that part, and if the main ship goes, that character is not in good shape. He would lose his ship. Now, then this player can try and fight as well, but if he actually can't, if there's no way he can hit anybody with these angles here, he might be able to, maybe. Oh, no, sorry, not this one. This one could. It's this one over here. He wouldn't be able to because he's behind, right? So there is certain things where you can actually make different maneuvers, which you can, when you see in the Kickstarter, you can see all the different maneuvers you can make. But there are certain things that let you try and turn around the ship a little bit with specific action points as well. But that's the basic idea of the game. You're basically flying around the board, changing your speeds, changing your height, and just a big kind of like skirmish battle involving 2 flying pirate ships. So that's the basic idea of how to play Avertigos South China Sky, and there's a couple things I left out, but I think it's kind of interesting to see all the different maneuvers and all that kind of stuff that you can do on that second phase. Find out for yourself, check out the Kickstarter. There's also a really great tutorial on there that teaches you every little step of the game. There's certain things you can do, like I was saying, where you can swoop, where you can actually drop down and then move forward a lot faster. And you can also kind of, I think, swoop up, as well as using bonus action points in order to get an extra movement out during that combat phase. So if you're not facing the right way, or you need to turn just a little bit so you can make this dial hit your opponent, it's going to work out just like that. Virtually, that's pretty much the idea of the game, though. Trying to collect all those dice, gaining new action points by spending those cards, as well as using those to either move correctly or fire. Certain pieces are going to give you more health, certain pieces are going to give you more damage, as well as maybe even some aim shots. And yeah, that's the idea of the game. So, let me tell you what I think about Avertigos. If you like games like Warhammer, you're going to probably like this one. It reminds me of also the style of game that has the Warhammer, not Warhammer 40k, but the Song of Fire and Ice that just came out by Cool Money or Not. Has very similar tactical styles, but instead of just going straight into your opponents and battling rolling dice, this one actually has that extra mechanism of flying and actually feeling like you're going different spaces or going up and down in the sky, being able to accelerate, decelerate based on your tactical maneuvers throughout that. Now, also that being said, this is just a small portion of the game from what I have seen. There's actually a full board and there's actual ground units and all that kind of stuff that involve the game. So if you're interested in just this little portion, you're probably interested in checking out the whole thing. And that might be for you. The basic idea of this game is, yes, it's a dice chucking / maneuverable game. There is a lot of luck involved as for when you throw the dice, as whether or not you're going to be able to do some damage or not, as well as initiative makes a huge deal. If you have the higher initiative to attack your opponent, these die can do a lot of damage. And in fact, because we play multiple rounds for just the skirmish mode, you can kill somebody in 2 rounds fairly easily, actually, if you get the good hits, right? As well as when you're playing during the maneuver phase, it's very interesting to see the different ways a player can fly all the way around the board, especially if it's a smaller board. And with multiple ships comes a multiple variety of different tactics. Even at some points, ramming other ships could be a vital asset to you, especially with stuff like this. We have bonus health. And when you ram somebody's ship, you're just going to roll die and assign die to each ship. And the person that I believe has the higher initiative is the one who gets to determine that, which is pretty crazy. So having a higher initiative is really good. If you roll a 1 and a 5 or a 4, they can take some damage pretty easily there. But that's the idea, right? And I do like it. I like the style. I like these are basically the prototype models, and I believe that they're going to have better quality models when the Kickstarter is done. But as they are right now, really solid printed miniatures. The pieces fit in very well, and they're all very unique in style. There's so many different other ships involved, though. What we have here are just the little patrols, so they are what they are. They've got different types of cannons. You've got missiles. They fire up or fire down or both. Some of them have less damage or more damage. Some of them have aim shots. Some of them don't. So there's quite a bit of stuff just in this small little thing. And we didn't even get to play through all of it, even with just what we have here. And setting up the ships is a lot of fun. Being able to kind of coordinate a little drafting system as to who gets what and how they get it, and okay, well, he got the ramming, so maybe I need to get a missile, or vice versa. Really, really cool. I like that as well. Definitely one of those games where I think you're also going to know if you like this game or not. If you don't like games that involve dice chucking, as well as the tactical maneuvering style games like Warhammer 40k, think that's a little too heavy for you, this is not the game for you. If you do, however, like the thicker strategic board games that involve placement as well as maneuvering, maybe a game like the Star Wars X-Wing miniature game, that would probably be another game just like that. But it's all condensed into one huge game. You would just play it and put it away. It wouldn't be similar to like Warhammer, you have to go out and play it somewhere. This is more of like a board game functioning thing. I am looking forward to seeing the entire game in its entirety and how it's played. From what I see on the Kickstarter, it looks gorgeous and they've done a great job. So I'm definitely interested in checking out Avertigos, and I think you might be too. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. If you like this video and like to see more, go and check out the rest of our videos here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. Oh man, I was doing so good at these things, right? Oh well. Also go ahead and check out Avertigos, which is currently already 50% funded and still has 37 more days. So in 3 days, 50% funded. And it's got a decent goal, so I think people are going to like it. Do go ahead and check it out. All the different extra stuff on here. It's really cool just even looking just to see what they've done with these kind of games, how modular they are. I don't know. I mean, sometimes these games can be a little too much for me, but this one was a lot of fun. Just the little skirmish mode is really enjoyable. Also, go ahead and check out our website, unfilteredgamer.com. You see lots of blog posts, giveaways, and more, as well as our huge Kickstarter list, which dictates all the best games on Kickstarter going on this month, as well as checking out our affiliate websites, everythingboardgames.com, The Giveaway Geek, and Avertigos Gaming. Well, guys, that's it for this video, and thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you next time.